Brought to you by the following sponsors.
Monday, these aren't your average wheelies, they're your favourite TV personalities.
Celebrities from all your favourite shows.
And they're playing to win a brand new Ford Festiva for a lucky home contestant.
You know, you could be a winner at home.
There's the great outdoors Bridget Adams and Penny Cook, John Wood from Blue Healers, Kelly from Talk to the Animals, Jackie Love, Mark Mitchell, Michael Horrocks, Rob Ruff and Marie and Agro.
2 weeks of celebrity fun.
We'll see you Monday night right here on 7.
Celebrity Wheel.
Moments of prayer help us to go on. Practice the presence of God wherever you are, whatever you're doing.
The new Holden Statesman is the only large Australian luxury car to combine independent rear suspension for a smoother ride, anti-lock braking that won't lock up, and a driver's airbag that just might save your life. And it's the most luxurious, most distinctive Statesman ever. The new Holden Statesman, big V6 or optional V8. The prestige is built into the car, not added onto the price. There's nothing quite like a Holden.
What do monster babies eat? A Monster Babies kids meal at Pizza Hut, of course. You get a kid's pizza, a soft drink, our all-you-can-eat dessert bar, and one of these free Monster Babies tattoos, all for $4.50. And for $1.95, you can get one of these Monster Babies hand puppets. So hit the hut for a Monster Babies kids meal real soon, before the Monster Babies get you.
Trade in your old glasses at OPSM and receive 30% off any new frame. Plus, your old glasses will be sent to help ease the world eye care crisis, making this perhaps the world's most important sale.
Nicole Shavastik with 7 nightly news.
A speedboat racer dies in an accident off the Brisbane coast. Fears for the safety of Australians caught in an African civil war, and a rescue helicopter forced to ditch in the sea. Good evening. A horrific high-speed accident has claimed the life of an Australian powerboat champion. A 7 News helicopter was following Mark Lee's boat at 160 kilometres an hour when it flipped. Here's Glenn Palmer.
Conditions were perfect on the Southport Broadwater today for the annual staging of the 17th Russell Island Classic. But shortly after the start, disaster. Mark Lee and his twin outboard Team Australia boat appeared to hit the wake of another vessel before becoming airborne in a spectacular flip. Captured exclusively by cameraman Eddie Norbito, the boat did a complete 180-degree somersault. Both Mark Lee on throttle control and driver David Degarawa were trapped underwater for several minutes, still strapped into their seats. The family of the crew saw it all as they watched the race from a helicopter. Mark Lee's wife captured the horrific accident on home video. Degarawa was pulled from his harness first and, although injured, worked frantically with race officials on board the upturned vessel to try and save the life of his teammate. Lee was rushed to the Gold Coast Hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival. Phil Bates, the skipper of race leader Innovation, was one of the first men to get to the stricken vessel.
Dave, they got out first. Now, although Mark is a diver, has been for years, and he can hold his breath, I think he must have been quite injured, and he couldn't do anything for himself.
Mark Lee was one of Australia's top powerboat racers. He finished 5th at last year's World Titles in Florida and is a former national champion. Ironically, he only purchased his new boat off teammate Degarawa earlier this week. On the Gold Coast, Glenn Palmer reporting, 7 Nightly News.
There are fears tonight for the safety of 7 Australians believed to be in the Rwandan capital of Kigali, hit by fighting in a violent civil war. Ian Hislop reports the fate of an elderly Sydney couple and 5 Australian aid workers is not known tonight.
88-year-old Ralph Hughes and his 81-year-old wife Edna flew into the Rwandan capital on Tuesday to spend a month with friends.
Is there anywhere in the US that I could ring?
His daughter Shirley has tried for 3 days to get through to the small Central African nation, but telephone lines in Kigali have been cut.
Well, we really don't know. if they're dead or alive. We'd just like to know. We'd like to be able to find out if they're alive and if they're safe.
The family fears for the couple's safety in the wake of reports that thousands have been slaughtered in a bloodbath following the suspected assassination of the country's president. 300 American and European refugees in convoy have arrived in neighbouring Burundi to tell stories of the bloody fighting.
The scene was horrendous. Bodies on the side of the streets, and passed by a mission, and what I saw, I will never be able to forget it.
Belgium has sent 800 paratroopers into the former colony to protect and evacuate foreign nationals. Care Australia, which has 5 aid workers in Rwanda, says its people have escaped the fighting, which they've described as horrifying.
All night, just shelling and pounding and indiscriminate shooting everywhere.
The aid agency is preparing to fly into neighbouring Tanzania to provide assistance to thousands of refugees fleeing the fighting. Ian Hislop, 7 Nightly News.
4 people survived a helicopter crash in Port Phillip Bay last night. The Southern Peninsula Rescue Squad were carrying out a training exercise when the chopper crashed into the sea. Kirsty Hill explains.
The 4 helicopter passengers suffered cold, bruises and shock.
Marvellous. I'm alive.
Veteran rescue pilot Bruce Taylor, his wife Mabel, David Mountain and Michael Ooms were on an exercise, setting markers so other crews could practice finding people at night in the water. Practice became a reality when the skid hit the water.
Once the helicopter sank and the cabin filled up with water, just opened the doors and come up.
Oh, Mabel was pretty worried, yeah. She had a foot caught and she was lucky to get it out just before the machine sunk.
The rescue of the 4 passengers took just 20 minutes. They were picked up by a fishing charter boat that saw them go in.
All you can see is the lights getting closer and closer to the water, and then that's it, it's gone.
It was great to see the lights of a boat. It was, I really thought we'd had it.
Today the young men went back to look at the salvage operation. The crash leaves the area without a search and rescue helicopter. The closest one is the police air wing stationed at Essendon. And that helicopter was busy at Janjuk Beach this morning. A surfer was found unconscious in the waves. He was taken to the Alfred Hospital where he's in intensive care. It's believed he was struck by his board. Kirsty Hill, 7 Nightly News.
The Federal Minister for Ethnic Affairs was pelted with eggs in Wollongong today as he arrived to hold talks with Macedonian community leaders. Windows were smashed and Minister Nick Bolkus abused in the violent demonstration. Adam Walters with details.
The protesters arrived in Wollongong by the busload to leave the federal government in no doubt about what they thought of Canberra's decision to rename their community Slav Macedonian.
Which was thought up by the Greek propaganda which aims to
With many families bringing their children to the rally, emotions were running high as they waited for the arrival of Federal Ethnic Affairs Minister Nick Bolkus. The Minister arrived under heavy security to meet with representatives of Wollongong's multicultural community, the Macedonian leaders refusing to attend.
I don't think the Macedonian people did themselves any credit today. They have brought disgrace upon themselves and disgrace upon the Illawarra.
Safely inside, the Minister was not alone in finding it hard to concentrate on the talks as the demonstrators reverted to violence, smashing windows in the Wollongong Ethnic Centre. As he was leaving, the Senator's car was hit by a bottle as police made several arrests. Adam Malters, 7 Nightly News.
Dean Jones today formally announced his retirement from international cricket. Senior players, including captain Alan Border, tried talking Jones out of quitting, but as Jim Wilson reports, Jones says the time has come to call it a day.
The end of an international career that grabbed the imagination of cricket fans around the world. After 52 tests and 164 limited overs appearances, Dino farewelled the international scene in Bloemfontein today.
To actually to go on further tours and all that, well, you know, it's just getting a bit hard for me now. I've got a little girl at home, and but I've been on the road, what, 11, 12 years now for Australia. So, you know, I've been a very lucky man.
While Jones wouldn't criticise selectors, it's understood he was angry to be dropped from the Australian lineup for the final one-day international earlier this week. Captain Alan Border paid tribute to a long-time teammate and friend, is hoping Jones has a rethink in the winter.
You know, statistics stand up against anyone's, and
Well, we might talk him around, but at this stage he's quite adamant that he's going to retire.
Yeah, well, it's great support. These boys have tried to talk me out probably most of the day yesterday, but I've made my mind up, and AB knew about it for a while now, so that's the way it is.
Jones will now devote all his time to the Victorian Sheffield Shield team. He was to tour with the Australian side to Sharjah, but has abandoned those plans. He'll arrive home tomorrow. Jim Wilson, 7 Nightly News.
More news after the break, including talk in Canberra of a new tax on petrol.
Seldom before has there been a story of such savage splendor. When they talk of Dances with Wolves, you'll remember too the adventure, the courage, the passion of Black Robe. 8:30 tonight on 7.
Come on and rock port with me. Yeah, rock port with me. Come on and rock port with me. All over this town. Make sure your feet are healthy on the ground.
Rockports, they go to work when you go to walk.
In 1993, a jury of designers in Italy judged this car, l'automobile più bella del mondo. And who are we to argue? The new Volvo 850 Estate, European style, real safety.
You know, Mercantile Mutual offers competitive insurance on everything from cars to household and commercial property, as well as some of the country's leading life and disability covers. They have tremendous strength in superannuation, finance and investment. But I reckon it's the award-winning speed and efficiency of their service that's made them so unshakable over the years. So if you're with Mercantile Mutual, rest assured, your future is in good hands.
Electrical retailer A claim they buy by the truckload to save you money. Electrical retailer B say they buy by the semi-trailer load to save you money. But Better Appliance Centre buy by the trainload. And who's going to argue with the train?
Whether you are crossing the Sahara, or climbing Kilimanjaro, or trekking down Lygon Street, keep in mind 2/3 of the Earth is covered by water. We do waterproof rockboards, all-terrain vehicles for your feet.
Homicide detectives say the man whose body was found in the Melton Reservoir yesterday may have been the victim of a payback killing. They've identified the man as Brohisav Kasal from St Albans, known to police over drug-related matters. Kate Davies reports.
Brohisav Kasal was known to most people as Bob. He was also known to police as a convicted heroin trafficker who was last seen reporting for bail to the Keeler Downs police on Tuesday. His body was found by a fisherman yesterday morning in the Melton Reservoir. Police don't know if he was dumped there or he drowned. Police say the man's wrists and ankles had been bound by rope. He'd also suffered severe head injuries, believed to have been inflicted by a blunt object.
His murder is fairly cold-blooded, brutal and matter-of-fact.
Search and rescue police have searched the shores and water for a murder weapon. So far nothing has been found. Detectives say Bob Kasal's murder was probably a drug-related payback. They hope someone with information will come forward.
We'd be anxious to hear from anyone who has seen Mr Kasal since the 5th, the evening of the 5th, or any of his associates that may have noticed him missing.
Kate Davies, 7 Nightly News.
The government has been put on the back foot by reports that a rise in petrol taxes are in the pipeline. The government has moved to deny that a petrol levy will take the place of a jobs levy. John Wiseman has more.
It's tax watch groups that claim petrol price rises will figure in the coming budget. They assert the federal government will go for a 1 cent a litre rise on all petrol products to pay for new jobs programs for the unemployed.
It's looked at a jobs levy, it's looked at a 40% Medicare levy increase. The approach of increasing petrol by 1% seems to be, from the politicians' point of view, the most universally acceptable way to go.
Fuel prices are already due to rise in August, the second phase of the tax slug in last year's budget. Government sources effectively rebuffed the petrol tax speculation today, Pointing to what happened last year, they indicated it's not something the government wants to face again next month. At the same time today, another lobby group has called on the federal government to rethink its new superannuation law.
It has this major weakness: poor performance, no choice.
Financial planners say the law must be changed to give super fund members the right to choose how their super savings are invested. In Canberra, John Wiseman, 7 Nightly News.
To the weekend numbers games now, and in Tats Lotto, draw 1327, cross off 7, 43, 42, 3, 31 and 22, with the supplementaries 30 and 33. That means the Lotto extra numbers are 42, 3, 31, 22, 30 and 33. The Super 66 combination is 0, 2, 1, 7, 7 and 1. And in the soccer pools, look for 1, 15, 24, 31, 34 and 36, with a supplementary 16. And now it's time for sport with Jim Wilson.
Good on you, Nicole. Coming up, highlights of the Masters and touring cars and all the footy action, including some Ablett magic.
Hi, John, it's Jackie.
Melbourne's most controversial love affair. The late John Bell and man-o-man supermodel Jackie Tarabay.
He was always so strong.
The truth behind the tragedy, exclusively on Real Life.
Do you know what really gets to me?
What?
Well, Ted spent all day at the footy.
So?
I've spent the whole day putting deadlocks onto every door and window in this entire house. And you know what?
Pass the milk.
Ted wouldn't know what a deadlock looked like, and yet he pays the same to insure his house as we do.
Doesn't make sense.
I come across tooth decay almost every day. So I recommend my patients use Colgate with Fluorogard, the proven decay fighter. Nothing to drill.
Use the dentist's choice, Colgate with Fluorogard.
Safety is engineered into this body. The airbag just completes it. The new Volvo 440 from $34,950. European style, real safety.
How could you get your kids to eat vegetables without them knowing?
Sedate them?
What?
Draw faces on them.
Good idea.
Oh, you obviously don't have children, do you? I'd bribe them with dessert.
Yum.
Anything to get them to eat it. Covering it with tomato sauce always works.
Kellogg's cornflakes are packed with the natural goodness of vegetables because they're made from kernels of corn.
You know, it's funny, but I never think of cornflakes being made of corn.
Kellogg's cornflakes, because the simple things in life are often the best.
An options home loan from Westpac allows you to pay an extra, so you've the option to either pay off your home loan earlier or draw on that extra money to improve your kitchen, extend your home, or even splash out on a pool, and all at Westpac's normal variable home loan interest rate. Options from Westpac puts you first. For details, call Westpac on 131 900.
Tonight,
Mate, going right off.
join Steve Murray
I believe he's opted for the steak. Lucky.
and Jimmy Barnes.
We were going off like a frog in a sock.
In the week's craziest hour, Jim Owen, 7:30 tonight on 7. This sports update is brought to you by RACV Insurance, not just another insurance company.
Well, what a thriller at the MCG, with Footscray going oh so close to giving new coach Alan Joyce a fairy tale start to his revived career. Collingwood led at every change, but a spirited comeback nearly gave the Bulldogs a nail-biting victory. The Magpies winning by a point, with Severio Rocker kicking 6 goals. David Loudon has the highlights. 26 seconds in, Rocker gold, and Collingwood slammed on another 3 in 10 minutes. The Dogs decided to go in a bit harder, but even that didn't work, with Big Sav getting his 5th for the quarter. Looks good. Former Bulldog Ballantyne hit the post, literally, and it took some nifty soccer skills from Collianook to bring up Footscray's first. New coach Alan Joyce kept his cool, and the Bulldogs came out hot. Alan kicking their 3rd in 5 minutes. The Magpies replied quickly, with Rowe roving the packs perfectly, and then pulling off a great grab, which finished with another goal.
He won't miss this.
Things were going against the Dogs, down by 27 points at half-time. Again, they came back. Kolyanook on the run, the first of 3 unanswered goals. But then some McGuan-style magic from Williams uplifted the Magpies.
55 metres out, 50 and closing, goes at goal!
15 points the difference at the last change. The Magpies didn't kick a goal in the final term as the Bulldogs stormed home. Thorpe and Wine making it a 4-point game.
Runs into an open goal and kicks it!
But the Dogs threw away the chance to win, kicking 5 behinds in a row to go down by a point. David Loudon, 7 Nightly News. Without Tony Modra and Tony McGuinness, Adelaide was pushed by Sydney before rallying late in the game to win by 19 points. At one stage, the Swans were within a point of the Crows' lead, but faltered. Rashuto and Smart both kicked 5 for the winners. After 2 hefty losses, Carlton scored its first win of the season, beating Geelong by 29 points at Optus Oval. The Blues set up the win with a 6-goal second quarter, and despite being outscored in the final term, they survived, with skipper Stephen Kernahan finishing with 3 goals. Geelong's record at Optus Oval has been woeful, but Bairstow gave the Cats a bright start, while Ablett got the better of Steve Silvani early on. After an indifferent performance last week, Steve Kernahan needed a big game, and this did a lot for his confidence. Ablett's strength and class cut the Blues' lead to 3 points at quarter time. The intensity of the match lifted a notch in the second term, and with a huge free kick advantage, Carlton opened up a handy lead. Bond was in everything for the Blues, while Gary Hocking was magnificent for the Cats.
A snap by Buddha, pulls back 6 points.
Ablett gave the Cats some hope in the opening minutes of the third term, but the Blues had the reply through Bond. With Bairstow off the ground with a leg injury, Geelong struggled as Tommy Alvin celebrated his 200th game in style.
There's number 2 to Tommy.
Nothing was going the Cats' way, and their cause wasn't helped when Riccardi was cleaned up by Kavanagh right on three-quarter time. Silvani continued to frustrate Ablett in the final term, but Sauce could do little to deny the great man his third.
Ablett, don't tell me.
Generally, a bleak day for Geelong, with the Cats facing Adelaide at Footy Park next Sunday. And this is how the ladder looks after 3 rounds. North on top from Melbourne, with the other undefeated side, Collingwood, in 3rd spot. Then comes the West Coast. Adelaide, Fitzroy, the Cats and the Bombers make up the 8. A disappointing day for Greg Norman at the US Masters, but fellow Queenslander Ian Baker-Finch is just 4 shots away from the lead after the 3rd round at Augusta. Norman had a disastrous 75 today to be 1 under for the championship. Baker-Finch is at 3 under, while American Tom Lehman leads by just 1 stroke. Wayne Grady and Craig Parry are both out of contention.
It's Saturday at the Masters. Springtime has arrived.
But springtime at Augusta can also be the toughest test for the world's best golfers. As Norman discovered today, the Shark failed to record a birdie, although he did give himself plenty of opportunities. This, his tee shot at the par 3 16th. Norman had to be content with a 75 to be 6 strokes off the pace. Baker-Finch too didn't have the best of times late on day 3, but he recovered from bogeys on 16 and 17 to finish impressively.
Keep running.
And this for par on the last and the 3rd successive round of 71. Out in front, the lead changed several times, and Jose Maria Olazabal was the first to make a charge. He's in outright second, while overnight leader Larry Mize is also still within striking distance. But it's the man who disappeared off the circuit for 7 years who leads the way. Tom Lehman only returned to the US PGA Tour in 1992, but his liking of Augusta became obvious at the 16th.
Lehman, an unbelievable shot.
Despite bogeying the 18th, he has a 1-stroke lead, although the shot of the day belonged to countryman Lanny Watkins.
Well, here he is today at 14, 2nd shot on the par 4. That's right.
Glenn Seaton has broken Holden's stranglehold in the Australian Touring Car Championship with victory in round 4 at Phillip Island. Seaton won both heats, with Peter Brock finishing 2nd overall, and championship leader Mark Scaife 3rd. It's Ford's first win in the series. Here's Mike Raymond.
Wet and windy, sunny and slippery. That was the story of the day at the island. A downpour catching out everyone moments before the start of Heat 1. The smart ones changed tyres and started from pit lane. John Bowe led the race on slicks till caught and passed by Glenn Seaton, Mark Scaife and Alan Jones. Seaton won the encounter and got away brilliantly in the second race to set up a substantial lead, which Peter Brock cut to shreds over the final few laps. A double to Seaton, 2nd overall to Brock and 3rd to Scaife. If the tourers were tough in the wet, spare a thought for the superbikers and Matt Mladen in particular, who high-sided the Kawasaki and walked away shaken but not stirred. Mike Raymond at the Island for 7 Nightly News.
And celebrations tonight for Australia's Michael Doohan after his victory in the Malaysian 500cc Grand Prix this afternoon. Doohan took the checkered flag ahead of American John Kaczynski on a Kajiva, and it was a top day for Honda with Ito crossing in 3rd spot. A great day for Victoria on Lake Barrington in Tasmania, with Jason Day upsetting Stephen Hawkins in the President's Cup singles sculls and the Vics taking out the King's Cup. In ideal conditions, the Victorians led all the way and held off a gallant challenge from New South Wales in the final 500 metres to win by 3/4 of a length. With the awesome foursome in the 8 and stroke by James Tompkins, the Vics crossed in a time of 5 minutes 53.39 seconds. A record 9th consecutive victory for Victoria. And Nikki, that is all in sport. Just very quickly, Andrew Kavanagh has been reported for that incident with Paul Riccardi, and in the National Soccer League, the Melbourne Knights beat South Melbourne in the first leg of that semi-final. So plenty of sport on today. It was a great day.
Good stuff. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. Stay with us now for details of the weather for the working week.
Superwoman's fixing her own storm damage these days.
You could say that.
Really? Worried?
Actually, the insurance company got the emergency services out in the middle of the night and even organised the roofing contractor.
How about that cost a bomb?
No, it's free with my house and contents insurance. Aussie Home Assist, they call it.
What sort of insurance company does that?
Mum, it's the RACV on the phone. They want to know if everything's okay.
RACV Insurance. It's not just another insurance company.
What are you going to do now?
Switch?
The average young family has 2.3 children.
Yeah, and I'm the 0.3.
Small family cars often forget poor 0.3. 0.3 gets squeezed in, and sometimes even squeezed out. Unless Mum and Dad drive a Ford Laser. Because Laser's well-appointed interior has enough room for all the 0.3s of Australia. Yes, it takes an above-average small car to take the average growing family. Have you driven a Laser lately? In 1993, a jury of designers in Italy judged this car l'automobile più bella del mondo. And who are we to argue? The new Volvo 850 Estate, European style, real safety.
The big Sunday replay, Carlton and Geelong is next, plus the hit Jamoan, then Aidan Young in Bruce Beresford's Black Robe.
From the Bob Jane family of T-Marts comes Australian-made steel radials for family-sized cars at only $73, including fitting, balancing and tubeless valves. Get yourself peace of mind from Bob Jane T-Marts, the most trusted name.
Tonight's weather is brought to you by Bob Jane T-Marts.
Well, there was plenty of rain around Melbourne today, and there's more to come, with even the chance of snow in the alpine regions. We reached a top of 16.8 around 10 o'clock this morning, only a marginal increase on the overnight low of 15.5. Currently it's 14 degrees. The wind is a west-southwesterly at 15 knots and 55% humidity. Showers across Victoria today, with maximum temperatures ranging from just 5 degrees at Falls Creek and Mount Hotham up to 23 at Shepparton. Around the nation, rain in Melbourne and Hobart, fine elsewhere, a pleasant 25 in Brisbane, climbing to 28 in Perth. From the satellite, a cold front passing through Victoria. Tropical cyclone Vivian is breaking up near the northwest coast and is posing no threat. The synoptic map shows the cold front moving through central Victoria and a high moving into the Bight. That high will bring us finer weather midweek. For Victoria tomorrow, showers with the possibility of hail in the south, southwesterly winds and generally cool to cold conditions. On the bays, a strong wind warning with a southwest to southerly wind of 20 to 30 knots, waves of 1 to 2 metres. For Melbourne, showers with a cold, gusty wind, 9 the low, climbing to just 15. The outlook on Tuesday, a shower or two, and 18, becoming fine on Wednesday, 19, fine on Thursday, again 19 degrees. And that's the news to the moment. Thanks very much for joining us. Jennifer Kite returns tomorrow to bring you our next major bulletin. We leave you tonight with a second look at the remarkable colourised pictures of the Queen's 1953 coronation. From me, good night.
Due to Channel 7's football coverage, Dr. Harry and Talk to the Animals can now be seen at the new time of 7:30 Monday nights.
From Australian director Bruce Beresford comes the year's most stunning production, Black Robe, tonight.
The 1994 AFL Premiership season, proudly brought to you by the following sponsors.